Hello and welcome to the Weather Hazard Briefing presented by National Weather Service Pocatello for Friday, March 10th. Well, our winter storm is here and it's a doozy. This is what you'll see in this presentation today. We're just going to focus on today and tomorrow. The storm is here. We've already had peak gusts above 50 miles an hour in the area, and we are looking for them to peak sometime across quite a bit of our forecast area in the 50 to 60 mile an hour range. Otherwise, this atmospheric river event has brought in warm air and wind. Highs in the eastern Magic Valley all the way to Idaho Falls should range in the 40s. So that means there'll be a lot of snow changing over to rain if it isn't snow or if it isn't rain already where you are this morning. Temperatures did not get all that cold, especially in the eastern Magic Valley and even in the Pocatello area. The storm should end late tonight, and cold air surges back into central Idaho. In fact, there are some places in the Arco Desert which will get below zero tonight as the skies clear. We are expecting Saturday to be quiet. Behind the front, afternoon highs will drop about 10 degrees from what you experienced today. So it'll be mostly, in the 30s instead of in the 40s, and for the lowest elevations. And then the wind is back below 15 miles an hour. So it'll almost be like this storm was never here, with the exception of whatever aftermath is left with downed trees and broken branches and down power lines. Another big storm should arrive as early as late Monday night, but it could be delayed until Tuesday. There's a lot of uncertainty in the exact timing, but it also looks like it's another atmospheric river event bringing a lot of wind and a lot of rain. It's because we don't get to cool off too much. It is actually a little bit warmer, and so there may be overnight where we get nothing but temperatures remaining above freezing on Tuesday night for a lot of elevations. All right, so let's get into our satellite image here first. You can see the mass of clouds over us, and somewhere in here is a front which will be zipping through, and with the front, that's when you can expect your peak winds. So for most locations in eastern Idaho, that's going not to be until between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. this afternoon. So look for winds to continue to increase, and then there'll be a wind switch from southerly ahead of this front to the southwest and west behind it. All right, here's the Pacific. You can see this massive storm right here. It's really spun up. The more you see the curls of clouds into the center, definitely the more developed and strong the storm is. And you can see the abundant moisture just streaming through Idaho right now. And then our storm for the Monday, Tuesday, or first part of next week is probably somewhere out in here. All right, so we do have winter storm warnings out for the Wood River area, the Sawtooth area, portions of the eastern highlands, mostly in the Big Hole Mountains. There are snow advisories pretty much everywhere else except for the Snake Plain and the Magic Valley and the southern hills, where we actually have a high wind warning out for those locations. And that's where we've already seen gusts approaching 60 miles an hour this morning in places like Burley and especially in the South Hills to the south of that area, to the south of I-84. So, like I said, though, by around midnight or so, this should all just click off, and we're looking for just a slight chance of some snow on Saturday, and most of that is in the eastern highlands. It'll be in the morning hours and into the day. Then a slight chance of snow during the overnight in the South Hills as the next storm tries to come in for Sunday, but this storm isn't going to amount to much. We are looking at only mostly affecting, maybe a chance of snow in the Magic Valley, the South Hills, Lost River and Wood River, and Sawtooth, so just the central Idaho mountains and sort of the western portions of our forecast area, the Magic Valley and the South Hills. Elsewhere, there's just the slightest chance of snow, not very high. That would be 20% or less. Then on Monday, we start to see the return of snow, some moderate snow during the day on Monday is possible for the Wood River area, Sawtooth. Night snow is more likely in, for instance, the Lost River area. Just a chance of a lot of rain and snow in the Snake Plain, the South Hills. Again, most of this will be in the overnight hours. And then Tuesday is when the brunt of that storm would likely be. We see light to heavy snow. Again, there's a huge function of the amount of snow is definitely a huge function of elevation. So the higher the elevation, the more heavy the snow will be. Down in, for instance, in even the Lost River area, they may see very little snow and actually a lot of rain instead. So still far out there, but just know that it's another big event. Mostly coming, it's coming in from the west, and usually when those storms come in from the west, it's the Wood River and Sawtooth that bear the brunt of it, as you can see here by the red. All right, so here's our weather depiction. Here you can see the warm air, and then later on this afternoon, this cold front will be blasting through, and you can see where the heavy snow is focused. Pretty much the areas that I've already mentioned, and then a lot of rain-snow mix, except maybe in the very high elevations up in the Island Park area and in Lemhi County. So let's watch how this evolves. So we've already had quite a bit of snow in the central Idaho mountains. Here in Pocatello area, there was about 1.5 inches of snow before it sort of started mixing with a lot of rain. You can see Burley's already that way. Idaho Falls should get us an additional skiff of snow before the temperatures warm up enough. And you can see again where the focus is. It's all in the Island Park area, all in the Wood River Basin, Stanley Basin, and the surrounding mountains. And you can see it's really starting to pick up in the Bear River Range and in all the roads leading into Wyoming and Montana. All right, this is for the afternoon, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. here for the most part. We are expecting temperatures to warm, and so there's a lot less snow, especially at the lower elevations. And even in the higher elevations with warmer temperatures, it tends to have a lower snow to liquid water ratio, so it doesn't produce as much snow for the same amount of liquid. And then after 5 p.m. you can see snowfall reduces considerably. Most locations are anywhere from a skiff of snow to about 0.4 of an inch for this 6-hour period, with the exception of, again, the mountains surrounding the Wood River Valley, the Stanley Basin, where it's about 1 to 5 inches or so. And then down in our extreme southeast corner around the Bear Lake Basin, where it's, again, very similar to Stanley at 1 to about 6 inches. And then for the very late night hours, you can see how much it's dying off. The snow very much stops at all the lower elevations, and it's just some of the higher elevations that are catching some upslope flow in their mountain slopes. So mostly the west-facing slopes will see some light snow again. It's a skiff to about 1 inch. Let's also look in detail at the winds. This is wind gusts. This is this morning. Gusts of 55 at Pocatello. You can see gusts here in the mountains south of Burley. That's 70 miles an hour. Stanley, gusts of 44 there. You can see some places are sheltered, and very oddly, this is how terrain affects us. Basically, Arco through the Arco Desert, you're looking at only gusting to around 20 miles an hour. Chalice, pretty sheltered. this morning. But they lose that sheltering by 11 a.m., so late morning. It's all gusts. All these orange colors means it's more than 40 miles an hour. You can see, the hills surrounding Pocatello and just south of Blackfoot. It's starting to get into the 60 to 70 mile an hour range. 60 to 70 miles an hour on all these mountain ranges in the Salmon Challis National Forest. And that's sort of the peak. And then here in the afternoon, it's starting to die down, especially on the west side. But still, gusts to 54 Pocatello. You can see the wind shift here too, from south to southwest and west. And then by 5 p.m., still going strong. Gusts to 50 near Rexburg now. Gusts to 42 up in Island Park. They rarely see gusts above 10, let alone 42. Stanley, gusts to 39. Another place where they just never see the wind, but there it is. And then by 8 p.m., you can see the gusts are starting to quiet down. And again, this will progress west to east. And by 11 p.m., that's when, blowing snow should, for the most part, stop. Whatever is left over. And, remember that they're getting a lot of rain on top of this. And if it does freeze, I don't know how much blowing snow you're really going to get realistically, even if it's gusting to, 25 to 30 miles an hour as it is in the north end of the Snake River Plain. And then by 2 a.m. you can see it's all pretty much dying down here. All right, so here are the temperatures. Again, 40 to 48 everywhere from Rexburg over to Twin Falls. Even Stanley getting above freezing. That kind of says it all right there. And then during the overnight, though, the sudden clearing here, and you can see some isolated valleys. Guessing that this would be Copper Basin, should get back below zero. Stanley back to zero. Arco and the Arco Desert back into the single digits. And meanwhile, teens for the heavily populated areas. So it will freeze over, which means any water left standing will turn to ice. All right, Saturday, again, like I said, it's quiet. You can see here, again, some precip tries to enter on the Utah border and maybe some in the Island Park down to Big Hole Mountains area, but it's just a slight chance threat. Really nothing more going on. You can see here it's all skiff to, again, less than half an inch. And that continues in the afternoon, and it's basically gone by 5 p.m. Here, the 11 a.m. winds, these are the strongest winds all day on Saturday. You can see it's considerably less. These are, again, gusts only to 19 in Idaho Falls. And that's probably the quote-unquote windiest place. So here are the highs on Saturday. Look how much colder it is. 41 in Burley, 36 in Pocatello, 30 in Rexburg. So that's down 10 degrees. And then the overnight lows, much colder. Stanley now 5 below zero. So just take off about another 5 to 8 degrees. So we're back to the cold, folks. That's all I have. If you have any further questions, you can always contact us at this telephone number here. Check out the weather yourself at weather.gov/Pocatello. Thanks for watching.